Yeah, to float in the Dead Sea would be a lot of fun.
You want to learn how to float?
Not
in the
learn
Dead
how
Sea?
to float, just like float. Because people say that's like a whole bizarre experience. Because when you float on normal water, but this is so buoyant, you just kind of sit back and then you're just cruising.
Hello and welcome to the Worldwide Honeymoon Travel Podcast, the podcast that talks about all things couples travel, including destinations, tips, advice, and more. I'm Chris.
I'm Kat.
And this is episode number 211.
And it has been a big, long week between St. Patrick's Day and we went and saw the Taylor Tomlinson special. I don't know. Like, we watched her performance, I suppose.
We went to a live comedic show.
There you go. That's what I'm looking for.
We did not just watch the Netflix special.
No, yeah. On Sunday afternoon, we decided we were going to go and just sit down on the couch and watch her special on TV. No, we went to her show because she was in Cleveland.
I really enjoyed her show.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was so good. It's just now we're that part in our 30s where like making plans on a Sunday evening just sounds like a bad idea.
Who said that from the beginning?
I know. It was worth it though. It was a really fun show and we wanted to go to the Saturday night show, but it was sold out. So we booked the Sunday night and I was like, no big deal. It'll be fine. And we're tired today. It's Monday as we're recording this. Yeah. So we're paying for it today, but it was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was St. Patrick's Day this past weekend and March Madness. I know you guys probably, if you've been around a while, you know that we have certainly talked about March Madness quite a bit. We do our bracket challenge. We are currently in the midst of our bracket challenge. There's been some upsets. There's been some wins. Chris is so far in the lead.
Although you did, I mean, this was sheer luck.
Sheer luck.
But you did call Purdue losing in the first round.
I did. And I will tell you that, again, yeah, it was dumb luck. I take a total of 5 minutes to make my bracket. No, I have not followed any of the teams this year, nor do I most years. And I just I go through and I'm like, oh, well, surely there's going to be like a 1, 2, 3 seed, whatever, that's going to get like an upset from like a Cinderella team. This happens every single year. Everyone's always shocked by it. And I'm like, whatever, this year, Purdue. And then that's what I picked. And that came true.
Yeah, but that's only the second time in tournament history that a number 1 seed has lost to a 16.
Yeah, but there's always an upset. Like, there's always a couple of upsets.
Normally, it's not those.
Yeah, I don't know.
You killed it, though.
That's why I predicted them losing, because I was like, it's bound to happen. There's always a few upsets, and but I'm still losing, so...
Well...
Compared to you, which is a new feeling for me, because normally I win against these bracket challenges.
I do not think that is the case.
That is the case.
We're going to have to like roll the tape back.
Because you made that dessert last winter when you lost the bracket challenge last winter.
Oh, I do remember that.
Then
now.
You lost the World Cup, so you had to make the Argentinian dishes. And I want to say the year before you lost the bracket challenge and had to take me out to dinner somewhere, or maybe we cooked something. I can't remember.
I can't remember either. God, those cream puffs were miserable.
They were so good, though.
They were so good.
So good.
They took me like 7 hours.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't like baking.
I love it. It's great.
You have problems.
Okay. But anyway, and we even have a podcast episode inspired by the March Madness tournament. And it is a travel tournament where we kind of narrow down our top. Is it our bucket list or experiences we've had?
No.
Or destinations we've been to?
No, I think last year what we did is we went through one of the many travel books that we have and we just like kind of opened it to random pages and then seeded them based upon like their ranking in this book.
Yes, and we did a World Cup one as well that was, I think, destinations. Like
I think
countries
you're right. Yep.
For that one. Yes, sorry, I was getting them mixed up. That happens when you have over 200 and something episodes.
Yeah.
After a while, you're like, did we already record that? Let's go back. And then we have to go back and look. But yeah.
What was your highlight from this past week?
My highlight was the Taylor Tomlinson.
It was mine too.
Yeah.
And her opener, Dustin Nickerson, was also really good.
Yeah.
I had not been to a comedy show for years. Have you ever been to live
Yes.
comedy show?
I did like like how they have them in like small little like clubs,
Yes.
like comedy clubs. Yeah.
Mhm.
We went out to dinner. It was, oh gosh, I think I was either grad school or I just graduated from grad school, and it was my parents' anniversary that we were celebrating over the summer, and we were like, oh, we're gonna we took them out to dinner and to a comedy show, and it was a lot of fun. And I think there was a few people that performed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had not been to a live comic for a long, long time. I did see Jerry Seinfeld live back in the day.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah. This was when I was, I want to say in college or in law school, but it was like a
Did he come to the school?
No.
Oh.
He came to Playhouse Square. It was like an event through work, but it was like during the summer, so it must have been some sort of like summer internship sort of event.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember seeing that. The only other live comic that I ever saw, Bill Cosby did he did a stand-up
No.
special at Miami when I was there.
Yikes.
So,
But anyway.
I really enjoyed both Dustin Nickerson and Taylor Tomlinson.
Yeah, that was great.
I also just enjoyed being at a live comic show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for whatever, I am not a big laugh out loud person when I'm watching TV. It takes
Lol.
it takes a lot for me to audibly laugh.
Mm-hmm.
I was cracking up last night.
Yeah.
I mean, both of them were really, really good.
I also want to point out that so we sat not too close to the stage because I was like, I don't want to get called out upon. And
well, it was what, 13 or 14 rows back somewhere?
yeah.
around there?
So
Okay.
we were in a safe zone where she's not gonna try to talk to us like she does the front row. You know what I mean? Like any comic does. And so I was getting dressed last minute. I was like, what are you wearing? Because I was thinking about wearing my red flannel. Christopher wears green flannel. So we kind of looked like we were matching. Whoops. And I was like, okay, good. We're not in, she can't see us this far back, with the lights and everything. No big deal. And then mid-show, she asked a question for audience people to answer. And the girl 2 rows ahead of us, she was easily able to see her because she described the girl sitting next to her. And I was like, oh my goodness, she sees us and she's probably very much judging us for... This is in my head. She probably didn't even notice. But we're wearing kind of semi-matching flannel shirts.
I would like the record.
And we were right in the middle, right in front of her. I honestly felt like she made eye contact with me a couple of times. That's how it looked. And I was like, oh gosh.
I would like the record to show that I was dressed first.
Okay.
Was I?
You were.
There we go.
So, we're embarrassing. It's fine.
Don't rope me into that.
At least we didn't get called out or anything because I would have been extremely embarrassed about that. But whatever. It was a good time.
It was a lot
Yeah.
of fun. It really was.
But anyway.
My highlight was the Taylor Tomlinson show as well.
Good.
Anything else you want to chat about before we continue our series here?
No, let's dive right into part 4 of our series.
Part 4. Here we are.
Part 4.
So a while ago, Kat and I came up with a list of 50 countries or U.S. states that would be ideal to take a 10-day trip to. And the 10-day trip is just kind of based upon average PTO,
yeah.
travel length.
For a big trip.
Yes. So out of those 50 countries, we each made our own list, and we agreed on 41 out of the 50, which is 82%. That's pretty impressive. Mm-hmm. The remaining countries, we each have our own list, so we're kind of working through all of this. Episode 208, we talked about North America and U.S. states. Episode 209, we talked about Europe. And episode 210, we talked about Africa. So Asia is this week. This week, or with Asia, we kind of flipped the script here. So I had 11 of my 50 countries were in Asia. Mm-hmm. You had 9. And of my 11 and of your 9, 8 of them were the same.
Yes. Yeah. So you had more this week, and I had more in Africa last week.
Yes,
So.
I think just by 1, though.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and talk about the 8 that we agreed upon.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll talk about my 3 additional ones, and then you can talk about your 1 additional one. But kick us off with
The true right answer.
well, not yet. I was going to have you kick us off, but
No,
we
I
can
know.
do the true right answer right after that. So
Okay.
kick us off with a country that we went to on our honeymoon and a country that I have just fantastic memories of.
All right, so we're talking about Vietnam. No, I'm just kidding. Or South Korea. No, we do this list by alphabetical order here. So the first one is Cambodia, which was a place that we spent a few days on our honeymoon. I'm sad we did not get to see more of it. We only spent about 3 days. You could easily spend 10 days here. We only went to Siem Reap and saw Angkor Wat and kind of hung out on like Pub Street in like kind of the downtown Siem Reap area. But there's so much more to do in the country. I mean, there's the capital city. You've got Phnom Penh with lots of museums, history. There's the palaces, temples, lots of things to see and do there. Angkor Wat could easily just like take you 10 days alone just to see everything because it's impossible to see it all.
I loved Angkor Wat.
Yes.
Absolutely loved Angkor Wat.
Yeah, we have so many great fond memories of visiting Angkor Wat. We did one day where we did the sunrise, which was absolutely stunning. It's an early day. And then we went and saw the main temples, like the main temple complex and everything. And and then we went to a couple of smaller temples. There was one we went to that was completely empty, and it was just us and our guide, Bunty. He's fantastic. I have his contact info in our Angkor Wat / Siem Reap post on Worldwide Honeymoon. You can find all that. But and then the second day we went to the Lady Temple and oh gosh, what was the other one? It was like the one that was kind of falling apart, but it's like pretty remote as well. There was a really cool temple out that way. So could definitely spend quite a few days exploring the temples of Angkor Wat. Then there are jungles, there are beaches, so a little bit more remote than going to like Thailand or even places in Vietnam for the beach. There, Koh Rong is a very a good spot to go check out for the beach there. So yeah, there's quite a few places to spend some time. If you did like 3 days in Angkor Wat, 3 days in Phnom Penh, and maybe 4 or 5 days or 4 days in on the beach.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Number 2 was a country that I was debating including. And that is China. Mm-hmm. And the sole reason that I was debating whether or not to include it is because it's almost so vast that like I would be paralyzed to pick 10 days. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think you'd kind of have to piecemeal it, like do like the highlights if it's your first trip and then go back for another 10-day trip. But,
right.
Yeah.
Right. But there's a ton of draws here, right? Like you have the Great Wall, obviously, the Terracotta Warriors, the Forbidden City, which was the palace of the Ming Dynasty. Mm-hmm. You have the Magao Caves National Park, which is one of the largest collections of Buddhist art, which is pretty sweet. Yeah. Either it is or was. I cannot remember.
At some point in history.
But I mean, you also have all of the different provinces with all of the different cuisines, right? Like you could just eat your way around China as well.
And that's a huge draw.
It
for
is.
Sure. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. And then there's also, I mean, who doesn't love a cute, cuddly panda bear? There's the Panda Research Center.
I was gonna mention that if you weren't going to. I was like, I'm sorry, they're trying to do a research center where the pandas are.
Yep. So there's a ton of draws to China. Mm-hmm. So the reward outweighs the paralysis of trying to figure out where to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's very giant. There's lots of big cities and stuff too. Also, they have their own Rainbow Mountain. Rainbow Mountains.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That would be really cool to see. I think the nature in China would be absolutely stunning. And the pandas, obviously. Number 3 on our list is another big country that, again, I think it would be really, really hard to just do 10 days here. But if you only have 10 days, you certainly could. You're just going to have to piecemeal it in certain sections. So this is India. tons and tons to see and do here. I would say that some of the more popular routes to go for 10 days would probably be going to like seeing more of northern India. So you go to Agra and you see the Taj Mahal, and go to Jaipur, which is the pink city, New Delhi, that sort of thing. And then there's also the areas like Goa and Kerala where you can do the houseboat, like cruising on that and go see tea plantations and things. Other than that, there's also the opportunity to go on a tiger safari. There are islands. There are obviously beach destinations like Goa and in that area. And then, there's even a chance you can do a luxury train ride around India.
Awesome.
As well. So lots to do in India. It can be really tough to narrow that down, but I'd say most people typically a first time go to northern India and see that area. Yeah, or a part of that area.
Nice. Number 4 is Israel. Now, Israel for me, there's the big draw of just kind of the history, right? I mean, there's religious significance, not just for Christianity, but also for Islam. You have the Dome of the Rock, which is the Islamic shrine. You have the Sea of Galilee. You have the Dead Sea. So I feel like even if you are not a religious person, there's just so much history of like significant world events happening in and around Israel, and it all kind of branches out, that this was another one where it was like, this was a no-brainer for me. Mm-hmm. Just from like an ancient civilization and kind of like an anthropological point of view.
Yeah, I definitely think that would be fun. And it's also, I mean, you've got the Dead Sea. I've always wanted to learn to...
I said the Dead Sea.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, to float in the Dead Sea would be a lot of fun.
You want to learn how to float
Not
in the
learn
Dead
how
Sea?
to float, just like float. Because people say that's like a whole bizarre experience. Because when you float on normal water, but this is so buoyant, you just kind of sit back and then you're just cruising. But as a warning... do not go if you have like a razor burn, any sort of cuts, because I've heard that burns terribly.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
All right. The next one is a country that I have talked about wanting to go to for a long time. I've seen many 10-day itineraries. It is a little bit smaller or the train system is very fast, so it's a little bit easier to navigate for 10 days. And that is Japan. I mean, Tokyo, you could easily just spend 10 days in, but spending a few days in Tokyo, going to Kyoto, there are mountains, the opportunity for lots of great food, like with ramen and sushi and seafood, and then also Japanese whiskey. And I really want to go see the cherry blossoms, as well as the monkey park, where the monkeys sit in little natural hot springs and just hang out, and they're very adorable looking, and I would love to see that. Mount Fuji, go to see that. And then, I'd like to just explore all the temples and the wonderful culture and cuisine in Japan for 10 days.
I am right there with you.
Yeah.
I took Japanese in college.
I know you did.
2 years of it.
And you remember like a couple things?
Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
I know. I think is that all you remember?
No.
Okay.
I also remember Ichi, Nichi, San, Shi, Go, Roku. And then I do not remember any other ones.
So you can count a little bit?
I can count to 6.
Okay.
I can say yes or no.
Okay.
I can say
hello.
I can say hello. Yeah.
I bet it would come back to you if you did it on Duolingo for a little bit,
Hi.
Yeah. Like you said.
Number 6 is Jordan. And here, the two big draws for me are Petra and Wadi Rum. So Petra is an archaeological city that has been inhabited from 7,000 BC.
That's just crazy.
Isn't that wild?
It is wild, and you think that like humans have probably changed since then, and the technology has changed, but I remember that like they've had like they found like
iPhones.
skyscrapers and steel. It's crazy. they like back in, I guess, like Samaria or whatever, they found like thousands of year old graffiti, and it's like the same stuff that people would say today, like, oh, for a good time, call, like, not call, but like call on, or like
what?
like there's like jokes and stuff, like, or somebody was here or something like that. Like, we are not that different than we think we are from back in the day.
Well, yeah. Petra, if you have never seen pictures of Petra, look it up.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, it looks stunning, right? And then Wadi Rum offers hiking and rock climbing. There's rock inscriptions. There's ancient ruins. It's just a whole kind of archaeological trip that this is going to be. And similar to kind of the concept with Israel is that it's more of like an anthropological historical trip. Just kind of learning about people from thousands of years ago.
Yeah, and again, you've got the Dead Sea on Jordan,
yes, that's
Jordan
right.
too. So
that's right.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff.
Number 7.
Number 7 is another place we went to on our honeymoon, and that is Thailand. And I actually have a 10-day Thailand itinerary on the blog, and we did spend about 10 days in Thailand during our time there, where we flew into Chiang Mai, and we spent 4 days in Chiang Mai. Went to Elephant Nature Park. We did a cooking class. We wandered the old city and all the temples. Just really enjoyed our time in Chiang Mai, especially eating. We certainly did that and went to some night markets and things like that. Then we spent, I think, 5 days in Koh Lipe, or 4 days in Koh Lipe. And that's where awesome snorkeling there. If you're a diver, there's good diving opportunities. Just a beautiful place, a calm, fun little island to go to. And then we ended with a couple days in Bangkok. And we just kind of explored that area a little bit. Went to like the Grand Palace and Wat Pho and that area. Did a canal cruise and stuff like that. So that's kind of that's a good 10-day itinerary to kind of get started with, that includes some beach time, some mountain time, and time in Bangkok. But again, you've got lots of choices whether you want to go to Thai islands or beaches, Etuya, Chiang Rai, Pai in the north. Yeah, just lots of beautiful, beautiful temples and places to go and see. And the food is incredible. Well worth the 10-day trip for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
The last country that we agreed upon was also one that we went to on our honeymoon, and that is Vietnam. We got to spend 1 full day in the Hanoi Old Quarter. Mm-hmm. I could have spent way more than one.
Yeah.
Fascinating place. We did not get to see a water puppet show or anything like that while we were there. And that is because we quickly left the Hanoi Old Quarter and went to Bai Tu Long Bay. Mm-hmm. Stunning. Mm-hmm. Like, incredibly relaxing, breathtaking scenery, snorkeling, fishing, hiking, mountains all around you. We kayaked. We visited a fishing village. Just really, really neat. And then I know that you would really like to return to Vietnam, to go to the south of Vietnam.
Yeah, I would really like to. So if you, just to reiterate, with Bai Tu Long Bay, it's a part of Halong Bay. It's just a more remote part. So in case, if you didn't know, that's where it is, and it's beautiful. But I would love to go back there. It was gorgeous. But I think Ho Chi Minh City would really be cool to see. Mm-hmm. Hoi An. Sapa, which is in the north, I really want to go back and see.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's what I was thinking of.
I mean, I want to go back to Vietnam in general, but Sapa, if we had just a few extra days, since we really only had 5 days in Vietnam, I could have easily spent 5 days doing like Halong Bay and Sapa and then Hanoi, and that's just the north. That's not even getting towards the central and the southern parts of Vietnam. But
yes.
I also feel like that the Hong Son Dong Cave would have been epic to see. Like the world's, is it the world's largest cave? I know it's the largest cave system in Vietnam that you can go in. So that's pretty cool. Food's great, lovely people. And it's very inexpensive. So it's very easy to do a 10-day trip there once you get to Vietnam. So highly recommend it for a 10-day trip. I certainly want to go back and spend more than the 5 days that we spent and go back and do 10 days. But yeah.
All right, so those are the 8 countries that we agreed upon: Cambodia, China, India, Israel, Japan, Jordan, Thailand, and Vietnam. I have 3 additional countries. You had 1. Do you want to go first?
Sure. All right. My last country in Asia that I think is certainly a great place to go for a 10-day trip would be to Nepal. And not to hike Mount Everest. Obviously, you need a lot more time than that. And I am not interested in that at all. But there are a lot of great trekking opportunities in Nepal that you can partake in. So that would be fun to do, like a couple of day or overnight or maybe 2 or 3 day treks. There's the city of Kathmandu. There's the chance to see Everest, not just, not to hike on it, but you can see it. But then there's also lots of cool temples and monasteries and some that you can hike to and things like that. So I think Nepal would be a really interesting place. Try the food there, enjoy the culture, and spend some time trekking. So I feel like trekking would be the main point of going to Nepal. So spend a couple days in Kathmandu and then head out on some treks.
All right.
Yeah.
The first of my 3 countries is Myanmar. And the big draw for me here is, as I'm sure you can guess, the Bagan Temple Complex. Ever since we went to Angkor Wat, I have talked about wanting to go to Bagan. Just the feeling of being at Angkor Wat, the feeling of seeing these massive temple complexes and recognizing like how old they are, it was something that I really just kind of had to process and I'm having trouble finding the words, but just kind of fully appreciate, right? It was difficult to wrap my head around what I was seeing and from how long ago they were.
And I imagine it's less crowded than Angkor Wat.
I would imagine so too.
And I would say I've heard of people going to both, and both are amazing, but they were like, wow, like the temples of Bagan were insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really that is like the big draw in and of itself to me. And then obviously there's things that you can do. There's the islands and the beaches and all of that kind of stuff that you can do or what have you to kind of fill out that 10-day trip. But Bagan for me is like well worth it and then do whatever else you want.
Well, and you may want to spend a few days there checking out the various temple complex, but also it takes a long time to get there.
It does.
Because we had considered it during our honeymoon. And there's no way with the amount of time that we had, even though we had 3 weeks, we had so much we wanted to see. That just would have taken up so much time.
Yeah.
I think it would have taken a full day to get there and a full day to get back.
Yeah.
Just from like the capital of Myanmar. So, or at least at the time when we were looking into it, it was a little bit more complicated than just a simple, we fly directly there. And hit the road with the temples, Yeah.
Yeah. And absolutely. When you said, you could spend more than a few days or more than a day there, 100%. I would not just spend 1 day there and be like, got it. Check.
Done.
My next one is one that I'm hopeful for. I really am. And that is Russia.
Yeah, that's a not anytime soon sort of trip.
Yeah.
With everything that's going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know that, sometimes people consider Russia to be a part of Europe. People consider Russia to be a part of Asia. I just popped it in Asia because it was easier from a logistics standpoint.
It looks like it's in Asia mostly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But a lot of people do consider it to be part of Europe.
Yeah. It's honestly perspective. I'm pretty sure in school I was taught it was part of Asia, and then part of Russia was sort of a Eurasia type thing.
Yes, I do remember
Turkey.
that. Yeah.
So yeah, it's perspective.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the big draws for me would be the Red Square. I remember watching the Olympics and just seeing the different and the World Cup and just seeing the different shots of the architecture, and I'm like, this is stunning. Right? Just absolutely gorgeous. There's also the Hermitage Museum. And Russia for me is just kind of fascinating just with the history. Yeah.
And I know that The Great on Hulu is not by any stretch a super accurate representation of Catherine the Great, but I think she's a very fascinating, interesting person from history that would be kind of neat to learn about. But and go there. Yeah.
But yeah, not anytime soon, but like I said, hopeful. And then number 11 is South Korea, we spent less than a day in Seoul. It was just on a layover on our honeymoon, but I loved the palaces that we got to see. So between the palaces and the natural beauty and Seoul itself, I could have spent a lot of time in Seoul, and that says a lot for me because I do not like cities. But even as we were able to just kind of like walk around, like, I mean, the dining and everything that we were kind of experiencing was pretty cool.
It was such a cool city of contrast because you look at this beautiful old palace complex. Is it Gyeongbong Palace? And then you turn around and you have like these giant skyscrapers and like it looks like Times Square, but like everywhere with like ads and things like that. And it's so... Yeah, it's just so you see people that are dressed in the traditional dress to take photos and stuff, which I know can be kind of like touristy sometimes. But then you also turn around and you have like people that look like they just came off the runway. So it is a city of contrast, but I really loved it. So I feel like it's certainly a city you could spend a lot of time in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I also do think the DMZ would just be fascinating. I don't know. Yeah. Just throwing that in there.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to say?
I will point out like sort of an honorable mention that I didn't include.
Goodness.
And it would be cool to like Taiwan would be pretty neat to go see.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. That would have been, that's a good one too. I want to get out there one day too, especially to eat because one of my best friends is from Taiwan and she's like, you just eat. Like go to Taipei and eat, go to the markets, like that sort of thing. And I was like, you had me at that. So,
sign me up.
Yeah, sign me up. There's also jungles and beaches and beautiful things too. So certainly an honorable mention for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, that wraps up our Asia 10-day trip bucket list, top 50 places to go for a 10-day trip. Let us know your thoughts, where some of your favorite places you would like to go to or recommend. You can always reach us on Twitter, WW Honeymoon, Instagram at Worldwide Honeymoon, or email kat@worldwidehoneymoon.com. But thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to rate and review our podcast. It takes less than a few minutes and really helps other people find us. Also, if you're enjoying this awesome free information on both the blog and podcast, when you're booking your next trip, head over to worldwidehoneymoon.com/resources and use the links provided. We earn a small commission at no cost to you when you book through these links, and these are all brands and companies we know, love, and use, like Skyscanner for finding the best flight prices, World Nomads for the best travel insurance, TripAdvisor for hotel bookings and reviews, and even Amazon for all of your travel purchases.
Thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Wherever you are, wherever you go, remember to make every day a worldwide honeymoon.